This is your USMNT Abroad weekend update from November 19th to November 21st of 2021. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to another U.S. Men's National Team Abroad episode where every Monday we update you on how the Americans performed abroad over the weekend, and every Friday we update you how they performed midweek in the most summarized way possible. With that said, everyone, by the time you're watching this, I'm either having surgery or I already had knee surgery, so we will be a little bit less active this week. Maybe not. You know, I never stop working. With that said, here's a future picture of me leaving the hospital. Okay, sorry. That's definitely not me. That is just the greatest Ronaldo of all time. Now, even though I'll be recovering from the knee surgery and on a lot of meds, so definitely more weird than normal, we still left 2 videos scheduled for you guys that we record in advance. One being the USMNT player bio. USMNT is a dual national, American and English, and he could play for the United States. There were rumors about that. Many requested a player bio, so I decided to bring his brother, David Maitan himself, the older brother, to talk about USMNT and drop a hint whether he'll pick the US or England. Now, the other video that we left scheduled is Luca Coleocho, a 17-year-old American winger that's also Canadian that plays for the Espanyol U19s. The interview with him will be out this week as well. Also, then probably back on Friday, we'll have the Americans abroad. I should be fine by then. I'll record and do the MLS streams. With that said, I'm talking a bit too much. Hit that like button, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Let's play the intro. Let's start with the updates. Alright, so the first player is Christian Pulisic from Chelsea. On Saturday, Pulisic started off on the bench and came into the game at the 62nd minute for Chelsea during their 3-0 away win versus Leicester. Quite an interesting 30 minutes for Pulisic, as he came in to play as a center forward. And I know some of you are going to say false 9 because he's not truly a center forward, but he wasn't really pinching back to play make, so essentially he was a center forward, but at the defensive shape, he was almost playing as an attacking midfielder, and it looked like Chelsea was on a 3-5-2 formation. So it was quite interesting to see Pulisic play that role. So in my opinion, yes, he was more of a center forward, and in defensive shape, more of an attacking midfielder on a 3-5-2. About his performance, he was highly active in those 30 minutes that he played. He scored Chelsea's 3rd goal with some very good off-the-ball movement off a low cross from Ziyech. He also had an assist disallowed. He had a goal disallowed. And they were all fairly disallowed, if I'm going to be honest. Late in the game, he was drifting a little bit wider rather than being just a center forward. But essentially, for the most amount of time he was in the field, he was a center forward. Now, we know Pulisic can be very productive in limited minutes. We know he's talented. We know his ability. However, the question in regards to Pulisic is not that. It's whether or not he can stay healthy. So that's what we need to keep an eye on for. Now, Weston Mckennie from Juventus. On Saturday, Mckennie started and played a full 90 minutes for Juve during their 2-0 win over Lazio in the Serie A. Weston played as a dual 8 with a 6 behind him in the midfield, which is what Allegri likes, essentially, having Weston playing high up the field. Now, speaking of Allegri, by the way, according to Fabrizio Romano, Weston Mckennie is right now Allegri's favorite midfielder. Therefore, stop believing the transfer rumors. He ain't leaving Juventus. In regards to the game, Weston Mckennie had 43 touches, 85.7% passing accuracy, won 3 out of 9 ground duels. It was not a good performance as he had in the past few games, but it was not a bad one as well. It was an okay to solid performance by Weston, and Juventus got the win, which they very much needed. Quick update on Gio Reyna, still injured. As we said before, he's likely only back in 2022. Now, Serginho Dest from Barcelona. On Saturday, Dest was not with Barcelona as he's still recovering from the injury that also kept him out of the U.S. men's national team camp. Now, one thing I do have to address is the arrival of Dani Alves to Barcelona. I think it is great news for Serginho Dest. One, Dani Alves is old and likely won't be able to play every single match. I hope, at least, that he won't play. Now, Dest will get the opportunity to learn from one of the best of all time to do it, and Dani Alves will most certainly demand a lot from Dest. Along with that, Barcelona won this weekend, and Xavi, their new manager, got their first win, a 1-0 win over Espanyol, their rival. So yeah, I think the arrival of Dani Alves is very good news for Serginho Dest. Alright, now Tyler Adams, Jesse Marsch, and Chris Richards. And then after this, we start to go by position. Goalkeepers, center backs, fullbacks, midfielders, and forwards. But we're still talking about the top 5 players, and I had to include Chris Richards as well because they played against RB Leipzig. On Saturday, Tyler Adams started and played a full 90 minutes, while Chris Richards started off on the bench and came in at the 73rd minute for Hoffenheim, helping them hold a clean sheet as Hoffenheim would go on to defeat Leipzig 2-0. Now, overall, it was just a terrible game from Leipzig, in my opinion. They even had 0 shots on target for this one. No shots, nada. Adams also did lose the ball in the build-up, which led to Hoffenheim's second goal. It's not the first time. It's not the second time this happens this year. A mistake from Tyler that leads to a goal and eventually also leads on to a loss to RB Leipzig. Yeah, we saw this happen with Tyler against Manchester City, PSG, and I guess for the US men's national team, even with Jamaica, the Mikel Antonio goal. Now, let's go back and talk about this game. For this game, Adams had 67 touches, 92% passing accuracy, won 4 out of 11 ground duels, 1 out of 1 aerial duel, had 2 interceptions, 2 tackles, and 1 error that led to a shot and to a goal. Now, the stats weren't that bad, but don't let them mislead you. This was not a good performance by Tyler Adams, in my opinion. Now let's go to the goalkeepers. All right, so for the goalkeepers, Zach Steffen stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Manchester City, and Ethan Horvath stayed the full 90 minutes for Nottingham Forest over the weekend. Also, without forgetting to mention, Alex Maitan also stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes. And he's not a goalkeeper, he's a winger, but since I'm mentioning Nottingham Forest, I might as well mention that. And if you want to know more about Alex Maitan, you're going to learn more this week from his brother himself on the episode I already announced earlier in the video. Now let's move forward to the center backs. All right, so off to the center backs, and let's start with John Brooks from Wolfsburg. On Saturday, Brooks started and played a full 90 minutes for Wolfsburg during their 2-2 draw with Arminia. Now, Brooks played as a left center back as part of a back 3, and he had a pretty good performance. Along with that, it was a nice comeback from Wolfsburg considering they were down 2-0 at this match. But let's talk about Brooks' performance. Brooks had 7 clearances, 2 interceptions, 4 tackles, just 2 dribbles past him, won 6 out of 8 ground duels, won all 5 of his aerial duels, had 104 touches, which is very high, and hit 11 out of 20 long balls accurately. Another strong performance by John Brooks in Bundesliga. I really hope he's in camp when we face Canada in January. Yes, in January. Now, Eric Palmer-Brown from Troy at Ligue 1. Well, he continues to get no minutes in the French league. He got 0 minutes again this week, and he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes. Now let's talk about Matt Miazga from Deportivo Alaves. And yes, he has been benched, but he finally played. On Saturday, Miazga started off on the bench and came in at the 73rd minute for Deportivo Alaves as they were trying to hold on to a 2-1 lead against Sevilla. Sevilla ended up getting a late goal in this match, and it finished 2-2. Miazga played roughly 20 minutes. And yes, Miazga has been benched for the past 4 to 5 games, I believe. Now, Mark McKenzie, and I'm going to give you a second here to guess. Yes, he got, again, no minutes for Genk. It continues to be frustrating, but yeah, that's the situation with Mark right now in Belgium. All right, now we're off to Cameron Carter-Vickers from Celtic in Scotland. On Saturday, CCV started and played a full 90 minutes for Celtic during their 1-0 win over St Johnstone. And this match was a knockout round for the Scottish League Cup, and Celtic has now advanced. Now I want to give an honorable mention in this video, and that's to Nico Cajera. Now this is just an honorable mention. He didn't play. He has been through the US men's national team youth system. He has been playing for the Mexico youth system as well. He's a 19-year-old Mexican-American center back that he finally made it to the bench for Holstein Kiel in Bundesliga 2. With that said, we'll be keeping an eye on him. If he starts to get minutes, we'll cover him every week, but I thought it was worth at least mentioning Nico. That does it for the center backs, so it's time to talk about the fullbacks, and I'm going to start with Anthony Robinson and Tim Ream from Fulham. On Saturday, Fulham defeated Barnsley 4-1, continuing their strong run in the English Championship, the second division of England. Tim Ream and Robinson both started. Tim Ream played 90 minutes, and Anthony Robinson played 85 for this one. Now, Sam Vines, that is one of the fullbacks, and I'm also going to talk about Chris Durkin because they faced each other in Belgium this weekend. On Sunday, Vines started and played a full 90 minutes for Antwerp, while Chris Durkin came off the bench for STVV at the 84th minute. Now, Durkin got the best out of this one as STVV ended up defeating Antwerp 2-1. However, Antwerp remains way ahead of STVV in the Belgium League, currently sitting in 2nd place. So, good for Sam Vines right there. Now, the next fullback I want to talk about is Joe Scally, and I am going to talk about Green and Tim Tillman as well because Borussia Mönchengladbach did face Firth. So, they're not fullbacks, but I'm going to be addressing them in this section as well alongside Joe Scally. On Saturday, Joe Scally started and played 74 minutes for Gladbach during their 4-0 win over Firth. For the same match, Green started for Firth and was pulled off at halftime with not such a great performance. And Tim Tillman came in at halftime and played 45 minutes. Honestly, Firth at this point is just a Bundesliga team pretending to be a club in Bundesliga. It's been a terrible season for them, to say the least. Scully played as a left wingback once again and had a solid performance. Once again, he was solid on defense, good on the build-up, almost scored a goal on a nice shot in the first half. And again, he was playing very high up the field, as he normally does as a wingback, and he was subbed off when the game was already 4-0, so he essentially was being rested. Gladbach is slowly creeping up in the Europa League spot in the league, and Joe Scully has started all the games for them and has consistently played well. And the kid is just 18. It's been a very impressive season by Joe Scully. Now, DeAndre Yedlin from Galatasaray in Turkey. On Sunday, Yedlin started and played a full 90 minutes for Galatasaray during their 2-1 home loss to Fenerbahce in the Turkish league. Now, results aside, it was a pretty awesome Squid Games tifo from their fans. As a fan of the TV show, and so is Dustin as well, he actually recommended it to me. I thought that tifo was awesome. Alright, we're done with the fullbacks. Now let's go to the midfielders. And if you kindly could right now, hit that like button to support the channel. But if you don't, there's really nothing I can do about it, so do whatever you want at this point. But let's start with Yunus Musah from Valencia. On Sunday, Yunus Musah started off on the bench and came in at the 77th minute for Valencia during their 0-0 draw with Real Sociedad. He played as a right winger as they were playing on a 4-2-3-1 formation. Usually they go on a 4-4-2, but they changed it up a little bit for this match. He got a yellow card. He also got bottles thrown at him by the fans when he was fouled down the right flank. We often talk about how these are certain problems that only happen in CONCACAF, and I guess we talk about CONMEBOL as well, but clearly it's been happening a lot in UEFA, so that has to be said. And we'll talk about Konrad very soon because that happened at his game as well. Okay, now Johnny Cardoso, the Brazilian-American that plays for Internacional in Brazil. On Saturday, Johnny stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Internacional during their 2-1 loss to Flamengo. Now, Flamengo is the team that will be facing Palmeiras in the Libertadores final this Saturday. Worth a watch, and I can tell you right now, Palmeiras is going to win. Trust me. Yeah, if you don't know, I'm a big Palmeiras fan, but most people in the channel know by now. If you don't, now you know. Now let's talk about Tenor Tessman and Gianluca Busio, the Venezia boys. On Sunday, Busio started and played 80 minutes for Venezia during their big 1-0 win against Bologna, away, while Tenor Tessman came into the game at the 59th minute. Now, Busio played most of this match as a right center mid in a 4-4-2 diamond formation, and even when Tenor Tessman came in, both Americans were the two center mids in the 4-4-2 diamond formation, or, as the American hooligans likes to call it, the American Bald Eagle formation, which is made for winners. So give them a follow on Twitter. Great account. I highly recommend. I couldn't leave this out of the video, and I had to give them a shout out for it. For Venezia's goal, Busio was able to get the assist as he drove into traffic and was able to release the ball to David Okereke to score the only goal of this match. To be fair, it did look a little bit like an accidental assist, or not, but I'm just saying it kind of looked like one. Now, Tenor Tessman did have an opportunity to score in this game, but a heavy touch led him to missing the opportunity due to a poor angle of shot. Now, Busio's game overall was not that great, but he did get the assist of the game-winning goal. With that said, what impresses me the most about Gianluca is the fact that even veterans take time to adjust when they move to a tougher league. However, Busio at age 19 looks pretty damn comfortable in the Serie A. That cannot be unnoticed, and I can't not talk about it. It's quite impressive. Along with Tenor Tessman, doesn't look as comfortable in the team in the league yet, but let's be patient with Tenor Tessman as well, as he is showing some promising signs. Now, Alan Sonora from Independiente, the Argentine American. On Saturday, Alan Sonora was not with Independiente as he's currently dealing with a muscle injury. How severe it is, we don't know. There was no updates as of now. Hopefully, that does not affect a possible December call-up for the U.S. men's national team camp. Now, Christian Capis on Sunday stayed the full 90 minutes for Bromby. He didn't come in at all, which is a little odd in my opinion, considering he's been getting consistent minutes. Now, Brenden Aaronson from RB Salzburg. On Saturday, Brenden Aaronson started and played a full 90 minutes for RB Salzburg during their 0-0 draw with Admira in the Austrian league. Brenden had 73 touches in this match, 80% passing accuracy, 2 shots on target, 2 big chances missed, won 9 out of 14 ground duels, and 0 out of 4 aerial duels. A very active game, clearly, and that's just classic Brenden Aaronson, always highly involved in every game. Now let's go to Luca de la Torre from Heracles in the Dutch league. On Saturday, Luca de la Torre started and played a full 90 minutes for Heracles during their 3-1 win over Fortuna Sittard, which is not the toughest opponent in the Dutch league, so tough to judge on this one. Luka had 67 touches, 87% passing accuracy, 1 key pass, won 6 out of 11 ground duels, and lost possession 14 times. Now Alex Mendes from Vizela in Portugal. On Saturday, Alex Mendes started and played a full 90 minutes, scored a goal for Vizela during their 2-0 win over Estrela Amadora. So what did you guys think of that Portuguese accent? At least that one I get right? So give me a break on the German ones, but the Portuguese one, I'm pretty good. This game was played for the Portuguese Cup and not the Portuguese League. Now Ian Harkes and Christian Ramirez, as they did face each other. On Saturday, Harkes started and played a full 90 minutes for Dundee United at their 1-0 win over Aberdeen. Christian Ramirez also started and played a full 90 minutes for Aberdeen as of one of their 2 strikers. Harkes scored the game-winning goal at the 80th minute and continues his pretty good season in Scotland. The 26-year-old American has 3 goals and 2 assists in 13 matches. Those are some pretty strong numbers for a central midfielder, and he loves to score game-winning goals. Now, the update on Dwayne Holmes real quick. He is still recovering from injury and didn't play this weekend. Now, a quick update on Richie Ledezma. It seems like he's close to making his return based on a tweet that he put out. He should be back December 6th of 2021. So 2 weeks, roughly. With that said, that is when young PSV plays, the one that Dante Sealy plays for, which is perfectly normal that we'll see him there before he makes it to their senior team. So essentially, Richie Ledezma will likely play with the PSV reserves December 6th, and he'll be back. Before that, he was playing for the senior squad, but they're going to ease him back. He did have an ACL injury, and he's just returning now. Hopefully, later in the season, he gets some minutes with the first team. All right, time to go to the forwards, and let's start with Timothy Weah from Lille. On Friday, Weah started and played a full 90 minutes for Lille during their 2-2 draw with Monaco. Weah played mostly as a left winger throughout this match, and a few very limited minutes as a right winger, a few times. But clearly, he had tired legs. You know, when your head tells you something, but your legs do something else, that's kind of like the best way to describe Tim Weah's performance in this match. It was quite clear right around the 15-minute mark during a moment in transition. He had a very heavy touch and he didn't look as sharp in that moment. And, you know, honestly, it went on like that for most of the match, which makes sense. I mean, he traveled from France to Cincinnati, then to Jamaica, played a lot of minutes, then back to France, and was already starting on Friday. So it made sense that he was tired, and I was surprised he played a full 90 minutes. And yes, I know that Jonathan David played also in this game and scored 2 goals for Lille, but Jonathan David was rested by Canada, and Canada also played both of their games at Edmonton, so he didn't really travel much. Tim Weah had a much rougher international window in terms of fatigue. Now, Konrad de la Fuente from Olympique Marseille. On Sunday, Konrad started for Marseille, but the game was suspended at the 5th minute as fans started to throw bottles at Payet. Again, I don't know why they keep throwing bottles at Marseille every single away game they have. This time it was against Lyon. And yeah, this is something that has to be talked about. I think it's the 3rd or 4th game for Olympique Marseille that they just start throwing bottles, and usually it's at Payet. I don't know the reason. If you do know, put it on the comment section down below. It's not just CONCACAF. That is the truth. But essentially, Konrad got CONCACAFed again. Quick update on Matthew Hoppe. Apparently, he's injured all the way till January, and they are willing to have maybe a loan or a transfer for him ready, Mallorca, this January. So maybe he'll get a loan. I personally think it'll be good, considering he was getting no minutes prior to the injury. Now, Nico Gioacchini from Montpellier, and he got his first start at Ligue 1. On Saturday, Gioacchini got his first start for Montpellier. This match was against Reims, and Montpellier ended up losing 2-0. Gioacchini was subbed off at halftime, unfortunately. However, it was good to see him finally get a start. Let's hope he gets more opportunities like this one. Now, Josh Sargent from Norwich. On Saturday, Sargent started off on the bench for Norwich and came in at halftime during their 2-1 win over Southampton. That is 2 wins in a row for Norwich, and they might honestly recover and not get relegated. Now, in regards to Sargent, as I said, he just played the second half, and he had a pretty good half, to be fair. He linked up pretty well with Pukki. Good work rate as always, helped a lot on defense. The only issue is the same as always. He did not score. Again, regardless, it's an encouraging performance from a center forward that will likely be back with the U.S. men's national team at some point in 2022. Also, Norwich seems to be improving. As I said, they might actually escape relegation. He will likely continue to get plenty of minutes, and considering his lack of goals, he has looked better as a winger rather than a center forward, at least at the club level. Now, Pifak from BSC Young Boys, and they didn't have any games this weekend, so he didn't play. They do have a Champions League game on Tuesday, so watch out for that against Atalanta. Now, Tyler Boyd. On Sunday, Boyd started and played a full 90 minutes for Rizespor during their 3-0 loss to Konyaspor. And yes, they are going to get relegated in Turkey. There's no way around it. However, Boyd actually belongs to Besiktas and he's only on a loan. Last but not least, Emmanuel Sabi from Odense. On Friday, Sabi started and played 72 minutes for Odense during their 3-2 loss to Viborg. Alright everyone, that does it for this video. Well, as I will be recovering from the knee surgery, I'll probably be able to reply to more comments in the comment section. So make sure to comment whatever you want down below. I'll do my best as long as I'm in not too much pain. Alright, we do have the videos scheduled. As I said, the Alex Maitan player bio. We also have the Luca Koleosho interview coming up. I also will be doing a video about the roster I want to see in December. And hopefully by Friday, I'll be feeling okay. And I'll be able to do the USMNT Abroad update from the midweek because it's Champions League week. With that said, hit that like button before you go. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Have a blessed week and have a great day.